Let's get started. The general form of a trigonometric equation will look like this. Y equals a trig function bx minus c plus d. So what does this mean? Well, a is the amplitude of the graph. The amplitude is the distance from the max to the min divided by 2. On the screen, you can see an example of where the distance from the maximum to the minimum is 4. To find the amplitude, we would divide 4 by 2 to get 2. So now we know that the amplitude is 2. The next part of our equation is a trig function. Here you will find sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, or cotangent. After that, we see bx minus c. b will help us find the period. We know that the standard period for a sine and cosine function is 2 pi. By dividing b by our standard period, we get the period of this function. For example, if b were to equal 2, our standard period could equal pi. In the same distance, we can now fit 2 of these cycles. So that would make one cycle half of the original cycle. The cycle number is a bit easier to find and is simply just b. C is called the phase constant. Going along with our equation, if we had 2x minus pi over 4, our phase constant would be pi over 4. With the quadratic equation, the quote-unquote phase constant would be h. Similarly, we can find similarities in finding the phase shift, which is just a fancier term for horizontal translation. In a quadratic equation, you would set x minus h equal to 0 and solve for x. In the same way, with the trigonometric equation, we would set bx minus c equal to 0 and solve for x in order to find our phase shift. Now, the only term we have left is d, our vertical shift. This is quite simply shifting our graph along the y-axis. If d is positive, our graph will move in the positive direction, and vice versa. Let's try an example. Y equals 2 cosine 3x minus pi over 2 plus 2. On the screen, we have the 6 things we need to identify from this equation. Try pausing this video and filling in each of them. Alright, welcome back. First, let's assign the letters to this equation. Then we can get started with the amplitude. We know that the amplitude is a, or 2. Here's what it would look like on the graph. What's our cycle number? Well, as we learned, it's just b. So in this case, it would be 3. What's our period? If we divide our standard period by b, we are dividing 2 pi by 3, which is 2 pi over 3. Here you can see the standard period of a standard cosine graph. Here you can see the new period after dividing the standard period by 3. Now let's find our phase constant. This is c, so our phase constant is pi over 2. For our phase shift, though, we need to set bx minus c equal to 0, or 3x minus pi over 2 to 0 and solve for x. If we do this, we can add pi over 2 to both sides and then divide both sides by 3. X is then equal to pi over 6, and now we have our phase shift. Again, the phase shift is very similar to the horizontal translation, so as you can see here, the graph is shifting to the right. Last but not least, we have to identify our vertical shift. To do so, we need to just identify d, or 2. Our graph is now shifted along the y-axis by positive 2. That's it! Take a look at the description for some practice problems and an answer key, and I'll see you in my next video.